The icy wind cut across the barren landscape like a blade, whipping snow into sharp, twisting drifts that blinded the eyes and stung the skin. Captain Elias Ward trudged forward, his boots crunching through layers of frozen snow that seemed endless. He had traveled to the far edges of explored space many times before, but nothing had prepared him for this desolate world. The planet, marked on maps only as Scifi 7, was supposed to be abandoned, a frozen wasteland without life. Yet his sensors had detected a strange, faint energy signal buried beneath the ice. Something alive or something that once had been lay beneath the frozen crust. Elias adjusted his thermal goggles and crouched to examine the ground. His gloved hands brushed aside the top layer of ice, revealing a smooth, almost glassy surface underneath. It glowed faintly with a bluish light, pulsing rhythmically. He raised an eyebrow. It wasn't natural, not the way snow and ice normally behaved. Commander Ward, his communications officer, Lieutenant Mara Hensley, said over the radio. The scanners are picking up 2 large life signs beneath the ice, but they're not human. Elias's pulse quickened. Non-human life forms? How large? Approximately 2 meters each, Captain. They appear to be humanoid, but their vital readings are faint, almost dormant. Deep freeze, Mara replied. Elias nodded. He had expected nothing less on Scifi 7, yet something about the reading felt urgent. He motioned for the retrieval drones. The team had come prepared for exploration and rescue operations, but nothing in his experience compared to discovering life frozen for who knew how long. As the drones descended, their cutting lasers melted thin channels into the icy crust. Slowly, painstakingly, 2 figures began to emerge from the frozen tomb. They were humanoid, yes, but entirely unlike any human Elias had ever seen. Their skin shimmered like opalescent crystal, reflecting the pale light of the planet's sun. Their faces were delicate and symmetrical, with high foreheads and large, luminous eyes that seemed closed but hinted at intelligence. Long hair, frozen stiff, shimmered with hues of silver and pale violet. They looked like something carved from ice itself. Elias held his breath. "They're beautiful," he muttered under his breath. Mara shot him a glance. "Captain, now is not the time for poetry. Get them aboard, safely," she said firmly, though Elias could hear the awe in her voice. The retrieval drones lifted the 2 figures carefully into the ship's cryogenic bay. They were placed into specialized chambers designed to gradually thaw frozen tissue without causing shock or damage. The process was delicate and slow. Elias paced the bay, his hands clasped behind his back. He had rescued many beings before humans, even some alien creatures, but never anything this unique. Hours passed. The glowing energy readings fluctuated slightly, and the first sign of life appeared when the fingers of the leftmost figure twitched inside the ice. Elias and Mara exchanged a glance. "They're waking," Mara whispered. Then, with a sudden hiss of released gas and a shimmer of light, the ice around both figures cracked and dissolved. Their eyes opened simultaneously. Elias stopped in his tracks, struck by the sight. The eyes were violet, almost like gemstones, and they seemed to look straight into his mind. Not threatening, not fearful, but assessing, curious, and somehow respectful. "Greetings," one of them said, her voice musical and calm, though slightly trembling, as if it had been silent for centuries. Elias froze. He hadn't expected speech. I'm Captain Elias Ward," he said slowly, stepping forward. "You're safe now. You're on my ship. We will help you recover." The figure nodded, and her eyes glimmered. No. You are the human, the one who walks with courage." Her companion's eyes widened, and she mirrored the gesture. "He is the one," she said softly, almost in unison. Elias blinked. "The one?" The 2 sisters, he now realized they were sisters, exchanged a subtle glance that suggested unspoken understanding. "You possess the spirit of stars, human," the first one said. It is rare among your kind. It draws attention. Mara coughed. Captain, did they just praise us? Elias shook his head, still trying to process the encounter. It seems so. And they're awake. Good. We can proceed carefully now. The sisters were introduced to the ship's environment, and it became clear quickly that they were highly intelligent and adaptive. They studied the controls, the instruments, and even the human crew with fascination. Elias watched as they instinctively touched panels and activated displays that would normally require years of training. Their knowledge of energy manipulation, spatial coordinates, and environmental systems was astounding. Captain, Mara said quietly, they understand this technology faster than we could. Faster than anyone we've ever trained. Elias smiled faintly. I think we just found a shortcut to learning advanced alien science. He turned to the sisters. You are safe with us. But there is much to explain. We will help you understand humanity. And perhaps you can teach us something too. 3 Mar. Friend, the sisters nodded. Lyria, the taller one with hair like silver flame, studied Elias carefully. We wish to learn from you, to witness the courage of your people, your adaptability, your ingenuity. Her sister, Saphira, with softer violet hair, added, we also wish to protect what you protect, and perhaps to walk alongside you. Elias's mind raced. They were not talking about romance, he realized. They spoke of admiration and alliance, which was far more important in the grand scope of the galaxy. Humans often dreamed of being heroes, of standing out, of making a mark. Now, he faced beings from another world who saw humanity and him as worthy of respect. That realization made a strange warmth bloom inside him. Hours later, Elias held a meeting with his crew in the ship's command bay. We need to integrate the sisters carefully, he said. They have knowledge beyond our comprehension, but they also need to understand human behavior. We cannot allow mistakes, intentional or not. They are powerful, but this is a learning process for both sides. Lieutenant Hensley leaned forward. Captain, they're already adapting. They've learned 3 of our primary ship systems in under 4 hours. And they're predicting energy fluctuations before the sensors detect them. Elias nodded. Exactly. Their abilities are extraordinary. That also makes them a target. Whoever left them on this planet, or whoever hunts them now, will come looking. We need to be ready. And sure enough, as the ship prepared for launch, the sisters' energy sensors detected faint signals emanating from the horizon, signals moving fast. Elias examined the readings. Alien ships, sleek, dark, and armed with unknown energy weapons were closing in on the planet. They're coming, Lyria said calmly. They seek us. They will not leave until they reclaim what they consider theirs. Elias clenched his jaw. Then we will show them what humanity can do. Not just with technology, but with brains, courage, and teamwork. We will not back down. The sisters observed him, and in their eyes, Elias saw something unexpected. Faith, not blind faith, but respect for his leadership, for the human spirit, for the capacity to act even when the odds were impossible. He realized then that the greatest weapon humanity had was not firepower, not speed, not lasers, it was resolve. He looked at Mara and the crew. Prepare the ship for launch. Begin emergency maneuvers. And keep the sisters close. They are our greatest allies, and potentially the key to surviving this encounter. As the engines roared to life, the ice world below them reflected the early light of Zyphra 7's twin suns. The 2 sisters stood together on the observation deck, gazing down at the frozen expanse that had held them for centuries. Elias joined them, feeling the weight of responsibility settle firmly on his shoulders. Captain, Saphira said softly, we have slept for a long time. But now, with you, We see the potential of this species. Humans are small in the galaxy, yet strong in spirit. Elias smiled. We may be small, but we do not give up. We protect what matters. We fight not just for ourselves, but for the future. And with allies like you, we have a chance to face anything. The sisters nodded. The stars outside seemed to shine brighter, and for a brief moment, the cold emptiness of space felt less lonely. Humanity had found a connection across light years, and the adventure was only beginning. Below them, in the frozen plains of Sci-fi 7, the faint signals of approaching enemies continued to pulse. But inside the ship, humanity, united with alien allies, was ready. Courage, ingenuity, and determination would be the weapons that carried them forward. And Captain Elias Ward knew one thing clearly. This was only the first chapter of a story the galaxy would remember. The ship hummed with quiet energy as it left the icy surface of Sci-fi 7 behind. Outside, the stars stretched in long trails of silver and blue, a reminder that space was vast and full of unknown dangers. Captain Elias Ward paced the command deck, his hands clasped behind his back. The two alien sisters, Lyria and Saphira, stood nearby, their luminous eyes scanning the ship's controls with fascination. They are remarkable, Mara said softly. The way they understand this technology, it's like they were born to operate it. Elias nodded, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the surrounding space. Yes, but we can't let admiration make us careless. Knowledge like theirs is a weapon, and anyone chasing them won't hesitate to use theirs. The sisters overheard him and turned to him together. Captain, we understand your concern, Lyria said. We have been pursued before. Those who desire us seek more than capture. They seek control over what we know. They will not hesitate. Saphira stepped closer. But here, with you, we feel safer. We can learn, and we can contribute. Your species, humans, they are clever, bold, full of life, despite weakness. That is impressive. Elias allowed himself a small smile. Clever and bold, yes, but sometimes reckless. That's why we need strategy and teamwork. The sisters nodded, and the ship's AI displayed a series of energy readings. The pursuers were closer now, dark shadows moving through the void. Elias called the crew to the planning table. We need a strategy. We are outnumbered and outgunned if we meet them head-on. But we are not outsmarted. Humanity has faced impossible odds before, and we have always found a way. Mara raised an eyebrow. Captain, you really do think we can take them? Elias leaned over the display. Not with brute force alone. With brains, courage, and quick thinking, yes. And with Lyria and Saphira's help, we may even turn the tables. The sisters joined him, placing delicate hands over parts of the hologram. Instantly, energy flows lit up pathways and connections that the humans had never noticed. They were mapping enemy movement, predicting likely attack vectors, and suggesting unconventional defensive measures. This is incredible, Mara whispered. Elias focused on the display. Yes, but predictions are not enough. We need actions that human minds can execute. We adapt. We improvise. That is our advantage. The sisters observed closely as the crew implemented improvised traps and defensive systems. They watched as humans created decoys using energy projections, as engineers adapted the ship's shields in real time, and as pilots executed maneuvers that combined instinct with quick calculations. Lyria turned to Saphira, her eyes glowing faintly. Their courage, it is not only in battle, it is in thought, in adaptation. It is inspiring. Saphira nodded. Yes. And Captain Elias, he leads not by fear, but by example. He does not wait for the perfect plan. He acts and adjusts. That is rare in the galaxy. Elias noticed their conversation and smiled slightly. We all have strengths, he said. Yours are obvious. But the human spirit is our secret weapon. Remember that. Hours passed in careful preparation. The ship moved silently through an asteroid belt to avoid detection, while energy sensors constantly scanned for the pursuers. Lyria and Saphira helped coordinate movements, using their advanced understanding of energy flows to guide the human crew. It was a partnership, human intuition combined with alien precision. Suddenly, alarms rang throughout the ship. "They've found us," Mara said, her voice tense. Elias grabbed the control console. "Not yet, but soon. All stations, prepare for rapid response. We are not running. We are luring them into a position where we can control the battlefield." The sisters moved to the tactical display, their fingers brushing panels with grace. "They will attempt a direct assault," Lyria said. "Their ships are fast but not clever. They do not understand improvisation as humans do. They will follow the signal, expecting an easy capture." Elias nodded. "Then let's give them a surprise they won't forget." They adjusted the ship's trajectory toward a cluster of asteroids. The enemy ships followed, confident in their numbers and weapons. But Elias's plan relied on more than numbers. He had his crew set up energy nets disguised within the asteroid field, projection decoys, and rapid maneuver channels. The sisters provided energy calculations to optimize the traps. The first enemy vessel emerged from behind a large asteroid. It fired immediately, but the beam struck an invisible energy net and scattered. The ship twisted sharply, narrowly avoiding collision with debris, while the crew responded with makeshift countermeasures. Lyria guided the trajectory of deflected beams, turning the enemy's strength against them. Saphira coordinated energy shields, predicting where the next shots would fall. Elias felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best. Using brains over brute force. Improvisation over expectation. He shouted orders with calm authority, and his crew responded flawlessly. Every move they made combined instinct with careful calculation, and the sisters adapted quickly to each adjustment. "Captain," Mara exclaimed, "they're trying to flank us from the left." Elias's hands moved over the controls, adjusting energy shields and thrusters. "Not today. Humans don't panic." The first wave of enemy ships became trapped in a crossfire of energy nets and asteroid debris. Elias watched as human ingenuity and courage turned what seemed like a hopeless situation into an advantage. He could see the amazement in the sisters' eyes. "They fight not only with weapons," Lyria whispered to Saphira, "but with thought, with courage, with unpredictability. This is rare." Saphira's eyes glimmered. "And their captain, he inspires them. Not with fear, but with trust. That is strength beyond technology." The battle continued, tense and dangerous. Several enemy ships managed to break through, forcing the human crew to improvise rapidly. Elias led daring maneuvers, dodging beams and debris, while Mara and the sisters coordinated defensive strategies. One by one, the enemy ships were forced to retreat or were disabled. After what felt like hours, the last enemy vessel was pushed away from the asteroid belt. The crew exhaled in relief, and Elias leaned back in his chair, exhaustion evident, but satisfaction stronger. The sisters approached him. "You were magnificent," Lyria said. "Your species, it surpasses what we imagined. Not in power alone, but in spirit." Saphira nodded. "We expected fragile beings, limited by strength and numbers. But humans, you are clever. You are brave. You adapt. You inspire loyalty and courage." Elias felt a sense of deep pride. "Thank you. But remember, it was all teamwork. Humans, allies, and even the unknown. We all contributed. That is how we survive. That is how we thrive." The sisters observed him, their glowing eyes reflecting the lights of the ship. They were learning quickly not just about technology, but about human values, leadership, and courage. Elias realized that their admiration was genuine. It was not based on fear or power, it was based on respect for the human spirit. Later, in the quiet hours after the battle, Elias walked to the observation deck. Lyria and Saphira were already there, gazing at the stars. The twins had a serenity about them, yet their attention was sharp, aware of everything in the void beyond. "Captain," Lyria said softly, "we have slept for centuries. But in these hours, we see humanity. Truly. You are small in the galaxy, yet your courage shines like a star," Saphira added. "And not just courage. Your loyalty, your ingenuity, your ability to act even when the odds are impossible. That is inspiring." Elias smiled, feeling a rare moment of peace. "That is what I wanted you to see. Humanity is not perfect, but we endure, we create, we protect. That is why we survive, and why sometimes we can even turn impossible odds into victory." The sisters nodded, absorbing his words. Elias realized that they were no longer just visitors, they were partners, allies, and perhaps the greatest testament to humanity's ability to inspire across species. Suddenly, the sensors beeped again, faint but distinct. Another signal, farther away, pulsing with energy. Elias frowned. This was just the beginning. Something bigger is coming. But now we are ready. Lyria tilted her head, studying him. "We will stand with you, human. You have earned our trust. Together, we can face what comes." Saphira's eyes gleamed. "Yes, you are not alone. And now, we understand what it means to fight with spirit, not just strength." Elias felt a rush of determination. Humanity had faced the unknown before, and now, with the sisters at his side, they were stronger. The galaxy was vast, unpredictable, and dangerous, but also full of possibilities. And as long as humans had courage, ingenuity, and allies willing to see their potential, there was no limit to what they could accomplish. The ship continued on its course, leaving Zyphra 7 behind. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and for the first time in centuries, the sisters felt hope. Humanity had shown them a strength beyond technology, beyond power, something that could change the galaxy itself. And Elias Ward, captain and leader, stood ready to guide them into whatever awaited. Knowing that the true battles were not only about weapons or numbers, but about courage, trust, and the spirit to never give up. As the stars moved past the observation deck, the sisters exchanged a glance filled with understanding and determination. They would learn from humans, they would protect them, and together, they would face the challenges ahead. The universe was full of threats, but humanity had proven one thing. Even in the face of impossible odds, the human spirit could shine brighter than any star. And in that moment, Elias knew that this alliance, human and alien, earth-born and distant, was the start of something greater than any one of them could imagine. The stars stretched endlessly around the ship, cold and silent, yet filled with hidden danger. Captain Elias Ward stood on the command deck, his hands steady on the console, eyes sharp as sensors scanned the dark void. The faint signal that had appeared earlier was growing stronger, pulsing rhythmically, as if warning them of something approaching. Lyria and Saphira stood close by, their glowing eyes fixed on the readings. They had adapted quickly to the human ship, understanding both technology and strategy. Yet even they sensed the tension in the air. The energy signal was unlike anything they had encountered before. It was intelligent, calculated, and dangerous. "What do we know?" Elias asked Mara, who was monitoring the sensors. "The signal is from multiple ships, Captain," Mara replied. "They're moving fast, coordinated, and they're using cloaking technology to hide from most sensors. Whoever they are, they're experienced hunters." Lyria's eyes narrowed. "They are not here for us alone. Something larger moves with them, something dangerous." "Their fleet is only the beginning," Elias nodded grimly. "Then we need a plan that uses everything we have, and more. Humans survive by adapting. That will be our advantage." The sisters studied the tactical display, tracing the enemy's probable path through the dense asteroid belt they had been navigating. "If we lead them here," Saphira said, "we can use the terrain, the asteroids, and their own confidence against them. But we must act quickly. Delay will allow them to surround us." Elias tapped the console. Prepare the crew. We're going to turn this pursuit into a trap, and we'll need every ounce of human ingenuity and courage we have. The ship moved silently, threading carefully through the asteroid belt. The enemy ships, confident in their speed and firepower, followed closely, their cloaks flickering faintly as they tried to remain hidden. Lyria and Saphira coordinated energy readings, helping Elias predict enemy maneuvers before they happened. "Captain," Lyria said, "they are trying to anticipate your moves. But humans think differently. You are unpredictable, clever, and willing to take risks. Use that. They will not understand your choices." Elias smiled faintly. "Exactly. That is our strength." As the enemy fleet drew closer, Elias gave the order. "Activate the decoys. Deploy energy nets. Prepare for rapid maneuvers. And crew, trust your instincts." The ship lurched as energy nets shimmered into position, hidden among the asteroids. Holographic decoys flickered into existence, creating the illusion of multiple ships. Enemy vessels, confused, fired at the projections, wasting energy and revealing their positions. Mara's voice was calm, but tense. "Captain, they're falling into the trap. But more are coming from behind." Elias's hands moved quickly over the controls. "Good, we expect that. Let's turn this into an advantage." He adjusted the trajectory, weaving the ship through the asteroid belt in a pattern that forced the enemy to split their forces. The sisters projected energy flows that created false pathways, luring enemy ships into dangerous positions. The first enemy vessel miscalculated and collided with a large asteroid, disabling its engines. Another fired recklessly and was caught in the energy net, its weapons neutralized. Human ingenuity, combined with alien precision, created a battlefield the enemy had not anticipated. "They are learning," Saphira said quietly. "But not fast enough." Lyria nodded. "They underestimate the human mind, and that is their weakness." Elias watched the displays, his mind racing. "We are not done yet. Prepare the main defense systems. If they break through, we hit them hard and fast. Mara, focus on shields. Lyria, Saphira, help coordinate energy flows. Crew, remember, improvise, adapt, and act without fear." The enemy ships, realizing they were being outmaneuvered, tried a direct assault. Beams of energy streaked through the asteroid field, threatening to strike the human ship. Elias executed a daring maneuver, twisting the ship through narrow gaps between massive asteroids. The blasts struck the rocks instead, scattering debris and causing the enemy vessels to veer dangerously. Lyria projected a field that redirected residual energy beams toward the enemy, causing chaos in their formation. Saphira reinforced the ship's shields at precise moments, absorbing attacks that would have been fatal. The crew moved with confidence, inspired by Elias's leadership and the sisters' guidance. "Captain," Mara said, her voice tense. "They're regrouping. They're preparing for a concentrated strike." Elias's jaw tightened. "Then we give them a concentrated counter. Everyone, focus. This is the moment humans show their spirit." The ship surged forward, cutting through the asteroid belt with incredible precision. Human pilots executed maneuvers that seemed impossible, dodging attacks and creating openings. Lyria and Saphira guided energy flows, amplifying the ship's systems and exploiting weaknesses in the enemy formation. One by one, enemy ships were forced to retreat, their confidence shaken. "They do not understand us," Lyria whispered, almost in awe. "They are powerful, yet their minds are rigid. They cannot adapt like humans do." Saphira's eyes gleamed. "And yet, here we see humans overcome them. Through courage, through thought, through unity." Elias felt a surge of pride. Humanity was more than technology. It was creativity, resilience, and determination. Even against superior numbers, the human spirit could triumph. Hours passed, and the enemy fleet finally retreated, leaving the asteroid belt silent. The crew exhaled in relief, but Elias remained focused. This was a test. They may return, Stronger. We cannot be complacent. The sisters approached him on the observation deck, their expressions thoughtful. Captain, Lyria said, we have traveled galaxies and seen countless species. Few possess what humans do: courage, creativity, and the ability to inspire others. You are exceptional, Saphira added, and not only exceptional, but a symbol. Humans are small in the galaxy, yet your spirit shines bright. You lead not through fear, but through action and example. That is rare. Elias shook his head, smiling. It is not just me. It is the crew. It is you. It is all of us working together. That is how humans succeed. We face the impossible. Not alone, but united. The sisters nodded, absorbing his words. They had learned much about human behavior in the short time since awakening, but this battle had taught them the most important lesson. Humans were resourceful, unpredictable, and courageous in ways that even advanced aliens could not fully anticipate. Later, in the quiet of the ship's aft corridor, Elias and Mara reviewed logs of the encounter. Captain, Mara said, the sisters' assistance was invaluable. But it's not just their knowledge, it's the way humans combine intuition, creativity, and action. That is what saved us. Elias nodded. Yes. And remember this, no matter how advanced a species, courage and ingenuity can level the field. That is what humanity has in abundance. And that is why we survive where others might fail. Number 4. Number 4. Number 4. Meanwhile, Lyria and Saphira stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars. The battle had been frightening, yet it had revealed something important. Humans were not fragile or weak, they were survivors, thinkers, and innovators. They were capable of triumphing against odds that seemed impossible. We underestimated them, Lyria said softly. And yet, they proved us wrong. They are small, yet strong. Weak, yet brave. Simple, yet brilliant. Saphira's eyes reflected the stars. And Captain Elias, he embodies it all. Leadership, courage, intellect. He inspires not fear, but trust. That is power beyond technology. Elias joined them, watching the stars shimmer. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. The galaxy is vast, and challenges will come. But we are ready. Humans have something no technology can replace: spirit, determination, and the will to act when it matters most. The sisters turned to him, their expressions glowing with admiration and understanding. They had witnessed humanity at its best, adaptive, clever, and courageous. And they had learned that the human spirit was a force that even the most advanced species could not predict or easily overcome. As the ship continued through the void, a new message appeared on the display. It was faint, but unmistakable. A call for aid from a distant colony under threat. Elias's eyes narrowed. The galaxy is calling, and we must answer. But this time, we are stronger. We have allies, and we have courage. And together, we will rise to whatever challenge comes next. The sisters exchanged a glance, their eyes glowing faintly. Captain, we stand with you, Lyria said. Yes, Saphira added. Humanity has earned our trust. And now, we will see what you can accomplish when spirit and courage guide the way. Elias smiled. Then let's not waste any time. There is work to be done, and the galaxy will not wait. The stars stretched on, endless and full of possibility. The battle had been won, but the war for survival and recognition in the galaxy was only beginning. And with courage, intelligence, and human ingenuity leading the way, Elias Ward and his crew, human and alien alike, were ready to face it all. The adventure was far from over. And as the ship moved toward the distant colony, the sisters felt something new. Hope. Humanity had shown them that no matter the odds, courage and creativity could shine brighter than any weapon or fleet. And that was a force even the galaxy could not ignore. The galaxy stretched before them, endless and unpredictable, yet filled with signals that told of danger, opportunity, and the unknown. Captain Elias Ward stood at the command deck, hands steady on the controls, eyes scanning the readings that pulsed across the holographic displays. The distant colony that had sent the distress signal was under attack by a massive fleet of unknown alien warships. This was no small skirmish. This was a decisive test for humanity, for Elias, and for the two alien sisters, Lyria and Saphira. Lyria stepped beside him, her glowing eyes reflecting the lights of the control panels. "Captain, the fleet is well organized. They have technology that matches ours in power, and they outnumber us significantly. But they lack your species' adaptability," Saphira added. "And your crew's spirit. That is something they cannot predict. That is what gives humans their edge." "Something their edge?" Elias nodded, feeling the familiar surge of determination. "Exactly. This isn't about who has more ships or stronger weapons. It's about strategy, creativity, and courage. Humans survive by thinking, acting, and never giving up. That is our greatest strength. And today, we prove it again." The ship surged forward, moving faster than the enemy expected. Using the asteroid field near the colony as cover, Elias and his crew prepared their strategy. The sisters' coordinated energy flows through the ship's systems, enhancing shields, redirecting power to weapons, and predicting enemy movements with remarkable precision. Mara glanced at the captain. "Captain, they're approaching fast. We'll have less than 30 minutes before they reach the colony. Are we ready?" Elias took a deep breath. "We don't just defend, we adapt. Humans don't fight the same way twice. Crew, stay alert. Trust your instincts, and follow the plan. And when the plan changes, adapt again. That is how we survive." The first wave of enemy ships emerged from the shadows. They moved with precision, firing coordinated beams at the colony's defenses. Human engineers and pilots responded with ingenuity, using decoy drones and energy nets inspired by Lyria and Saphira's calculations. They redirected the enemy's fire away from vulnerable targets. Explosions lit the darkness of space, but the colony remained protected. The sisters guided Elias as he executed daring maneuvers. The ship twisted through asteroid debris, narrowly avoiding concentrated fire while simultaneously redirecting energy back toward enemy vessels. One by one, enemy ships collided with hidden obstacles or were caught in energy traps that combined alien knowledge and human improvisation. "They cannot adapt fast enough," Saphira said, her voice calm but intense. "Humans do not rely on repetition. They think. They act. They survive," Lyria nodded. "And Captain Elias leads them with courage. That inspires the crew. That is more powerful than any weapon." Elias gritted his teeth as the next wave of enemy ships attempted to flank them. "Then we use that. Let them chase what they think is weakness. Humans know the strength of surprise." He adjusted the ship's trajectory, drawing the enemy toward a narrow canyon of asteroids. The path was treacherous, impossible for large, rigid ships to follow. Only a human crew with instinct and improvisation could navigate it. As the enemy fleet pursued, one vessel after another became trapped, colliding with asteroids or energy barriers. The sisters projected precise energy fields, amplifying the effectiveness of the traps. Mara coordinated the shields, absorbing the few attacks that managed to break through, while the crew executed maneuvers with flawless precision. "They do not understand our strategy," Lyria whispered, a hint of awe in her voice. "They expect brute force, but humans fight with thought. That is extraordinary," Saphira added, "and Captain Elias inspires them to act without fear. That is strength beyond measure." The battle escalated as the remaining enemy ships realized their mistakes and attempted a concentrated assault. They fired everything they had, hoping to overwhelm the human defenses. Elias anticipated this and executed a bold maneuver, splitting the fleet's attention. The sisters synchronized energy pulses to create temporary barriers and redirect fire, giving the humans moments of advantage they could exploit. "Captain, shields at 30%, Mara warned. "If they concentrate again, we could be in danger." Elias didn't flinch. "Then we force them to react to us, not the other way around." "Crew, adjust shields dynamically. Use energy from secondary systems to power offensive measures. Humans adapt. That is our weapon." The enemy ships fired relentlessly. But human improvisation proved decisive. Energy nets and decoys continued to neutralize attacks, while the sisters' calculations allowed precise targeting of vulnerable points. One by one, enemy vessels were disabled or forced to retreat. The human fleet, small but clever, turned the tide through ingenuity and courage. As the dust of the battle settled, the colony below sent a message of gratitude. "Captain Elias Ward and crew, your actions saved countless lives. Humanity has proven itself today." Elias allowed himself a small smile, but his mind remained alert. Battles like this were never truly over. Lyria and Saphira joined him on the observation deck, their expressions reflecting both relief and respect. "Captain," Lyria said, "humans are remarkable. We have seen countless species, many more advanced than yours, yet none possess what your species does: creativity, courage, adaptability, and spirit. That is why you survive, even against impossible odds." Saphira added, "And you, Captain Elias, are the embodiment of that spirit. You do not lead through fear or intimidation. You lead through action, through inspiration, and that makes humans stronger than any weapon." Elias shook his head, smiling faintly. "It's not just me. It's the crew. It's you. It's all of us working together. Humans have survived because we face challenges with heart and mind. We do not give up. That is our edge." The sisters nodded. "We will stand with you," Lyria said. "We have seen the value of humanity, and we wish to learn more, to protect and grow alongside you." Saphira's eyes gleamed. "Yes, and we know now that courage and intelligence together can overcome any obstacle. Humans have shown us that." Elias felt a deep sense of pride and responsibility. Humanity had been tested, and they had proven themselves. Not with brute strength alone, but with ingenuity, courage, and determination. He realized that the galaxy was full of dangers, but also full of opportunities to demonstrate human resilience. "Prepare the ship for continued patrol," Elias said. "We may have won this battle, but the galaxy is vast. Threats will come, and humans will be ready not just with weapons, but with the mind, the spirit, and the will to survive and protect." The sisters stood silently, absorbing his words. They had been frozen for centuries, yet in these short hours, they had learned the essence of humanity. Humans were small, fragile in appearance, yet their courage, creativity, and adaptability made them powerful in ways that technology alone could not measure. As the ship moved away from the colony, Lyria spoke softly. "We came expecting weakness, but we found strength. Not from weapons, but from spirit." Saphira nodded. "And from leadership. Captain Elias shows that a single individual, when combined with courage and intelligence, can inspire many to achieve the impossible." Elias turned to them, his expression serious yet calm. "The galaxy will test us again, but we are ready. Humans do not rely on luck or power alone. We rely on our spirit, our mind, and our willingness to face challenges head-on. That is what makes us survivors, and that is what makes us exceptional." The sisters exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. They had found allies in humanity, species that could stand against the universe's threats, with nothing more than courage, creativity, and determination. And they had found a leader in Elias Ward who exemplified everything that made humans remarkable. The stars stretched endlessly before them, filled with possibilities, challenges, and adventures yet to come. Humanity had proven itself, not through sheer numbers or overwhelming technology, but through the qualities that made them uniquely capable of surviving and thriving in a galaxy full of unknown dangers. Elias stood tall, looking at the stars with the sisters by his side. "We will continue to explore, to defend, and to inspire," he said, "and together, humans and allies like you will show the galaxy that courage, ingenuity, and spirit are the greatest weapons of all." The sisters nodded, their eyes glowing with understanding. They had seen the strength of humanity, not in machines or firepower, but in determination, teamwork, and the ability to act with intelligence and courage under pressure. And they knew that as long as humans were willing to fight with spirit, no challenge in the galaxy was insurmountable. The ship moved forward into the stars, leaving behind the battle, but carrying with it the lessons of courage, unity, and ingenuity. Humanity had faced the impossible and prevailed, proving that the human spirit could shine brighter than any weapon or fleet. And as the galaxy stretched endlessly around them, Elias Ward, the crew, and the alien sisters knew that this was only the beginning. Many adventures awaited, many dangers to face, and many opportunities to demonstrate what humans were truly capable of. For humanity, the stars were not the limit, they were the stage for courage, ingenuity, and the enduring spirit that no force in the universe could suppress. And with allies like Lyria and Saphira at their side, humanity would continue to rise, inspire, and shine, no matter what the galaxy threw at them.